Brenda's.
No.
There we go. Okay, so we are recording. I'm going to do the screen share.
It's not this
Here
way.
we go. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, perfect. And while I go over this recap, if everybody could mute as much as they can their mics. And then first things first, disclaimer here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you things that are going to cure any of your diseases or any of your problems. And don't do anything that I tell you to do ever at any point for any reason, because I am not a medical professional. I don't have a practice. I cannot give you medical advice. I won't give you any medical advice to be related to anything you've ever done at any point in time. So just simply don't do it. There, that's covered. That couldn't possibly be any more clear. Now, again, a little bit about me. I'm trying to come up with a way to share something about me every single week so you guys can get to know my brain a little bit more, but I end up talking too much when I do that. So I am unbelievably obsessive. It's learning as much as I can, as often as I can, and relating it to you in as many different ways as I can is pathological to me, and I can't break it. My brain never turns off, so I obsess about all the newest information, trial, test, retest, trial and error, and giving you guys everything that you can, getting feedback and updating it over and over and over again. I'm a person that obsesses about information and then brings it to you 16 hours a day. So that's a little bit about who I am, why we're here, and what we're doing. So we're going to do a quick recap of where we've been, what we've been talking about the last few weeks, specifically relating to motivation. Motivation is unreliable. If you are saying, if I could just find the motivation or find the right motivation or be more motivated, then I would be successful, you're wrong. And that belief is your problem and why you keep failing. Depending on motivation is what is leading you to failure. It is your party friend who is awesome for one fun great night out, but not the type of person that you would invite or ask to pick you up from the airport when you got back. Why? Because it's not dependable. You know that because you're still searching for the right motivation or enough motivation to make a change. So obviously, if you're still searching for it, you don't want that person picking you up from the airport. Unreliable. Motivation is conflicting and competing. So motivation is simply the desire to do something or to have a particular action. So you may be motivated to eat healthy and lose weight, but you may also be motivated to eat cupcakes. You may be motivated to eat fast food. You are motivated to do both of them. And then the attitude of you just got to want it bad enough and be more motivated. Well, that's very short-sighted, because it's not necessarily that you're not motivated to lose weight and that's what deters you and has you end up eating cupcakes. It's that what comes with, or your belief system around what comes with losing weight, and that is being hungry, eating bland food that's not fun, doing a whole bunch of cardio. That stuff scares you, so you lean in the other direction. That is what we're talking about when we say motivation is conflicting with other things, and that's again why it's unreliable. Sorry, I'm trying to let everybody into the room now. Good. So motivation towards abstractions does not lead to results. If your goal is to be healthier, lose weight, eat healthy, just feel good, more fit, that is an abstraction. There's nothing specific about it. So you cannot be motivated in enough of a straight line to create any sort of real change. Motivation towards an abstraction does not lead to results. Why? Because you have to push yourself in too many directions and make too many decisions. And the second you run into a situation where you don't know what to do, you're going to panic, you're going to waste too much energy figuring it out, and you're ultimately going to make a bad decision, wrong decision, and then fall off track because there's no specific and no measurable. So motivation towards abstractions does not help. Motivation towards outcomes is not a good strategy for change. For those of you that have been here for a while, outcomes are lagging indicators, not leading indicators. So motivation towards losing weight is great, but when we're making behaviors and the scale doesn't reflect it, we're not going to stay motivated for very long. We're going to end up falling off. Motivation is brute strength in the animal kingdom. So if you were on that last call, I gave that as the analogy. Motivation is like your strength and size if you were a wild animal in the jungle. And your real life environment in this scenario is the environment in the animal kingdom. And the people in your life are the other animals in the animal kingdom. That's the analogy here. You are the biggest, strongest when you're fully motivated out in the wild. And when you're fully motivated, you're on top. You are at the top of the hierarchy. You are the king of the jungle. You are the strongest of the strong, and everybody does what you say, and you're in complete control. But no matter how strong you are, as soon as variables change, you get defeated. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest animal in the animal kingdom. As soon as there's a flood and you can't swim, you're dead. So it doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how strong you are if you're the strongest uh, gorilla in the cage at the zoo. Two gorillas half your size is going to knock you down immediately. And what that means to you is, since you are the strongest and your real life is the environment, as soon as you have two things that you have to handle that you weren't expecting, that you're not equipped to do it, it doesn't matter how motivated you are, you cannot win that battle anymore. Game over. You're going to be pulled in multiple different directions, and your environment's going to change. It's not static, it's not linear. As soon as the variables start to switch, doesn't matter how motivated you are, you have to develop more sophisticated strategies for success. So you would be an awesome animal in the animal kingdom if you were the biggest and strongest and you knew how to swim when the flood came. You would be the best animal in the animal kingdom if you were the biggest, strongest, and when those two half your size came to throw you over, you could talk them out of it. The skills that you acquire, you have to pay attention to what's going on. You have to develop new skills. You have to have a sophisticated strategy. You can't just be super motivated to stick to something really strict or really difficult. Just put your head down and then beat yourself up when you didn't follow through with it if it's not the right plan. You can't motivate yourself to get there. So here's the key principles in play specifically to what we're talking about today. Systems work better than goals, goals being outcomes. Systems imply practice and imply failure. So if the goal, the outcome is to lose weight, a better strategy than just trying to lose weight, weighing yourself, exercising more, eating less would be to develop a system for a very specific behavior, like learning how to cook vegetables so that they taste delicious and you want to eat more vegetables. That would be a system of practicing cooking vegetables that would lead to the outcome way more effectively. Start thinking in bets and do what increases your odds of success. So if you don't do anything right now, you hate going to the gym and you hate salads, deciding to go to the gym 5 days a week and eat salads for lunch and dinner every single day, it's going to decrease your odds of success because it's not the type of behavior you want to do. It's not something that you can do. It's going to decrease. If it's something that you hate and that you can't sustain long term, it's going to decrease your odds of success in the future. Now, here's something that's very important when we talk about odds of success. Winners increase the likelihood they'll win again. If you win once, there's a high likelihood you're going to win a second time. If you win two in a row, there's a high likelihood you're going to win a third time, and that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Losers increase the likelihood that they're going to lose again. So if you failed or lost one battle, the likelihood that you fail or lose the next battle goes up. If you lose two in a row, the likelihood that you lose three goes up. If you continuously lose, the probability that you lose the next one goes up and up and up and up and up. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. To those who have everything, they will be given everything. To those who have nothing, everything will be taken away. This is what we're talking about here. The likelihood, if you win, that you'll win again goes up. Likelihood that you lose again. Winners are more willing to stay in the fight. So if you have more victories under your belt and something goes wrong, a winner with more victories is more likely to stay in the fight, make adaptations, and take some losses. Losers are more likely to quit sooner on the timeline and way faster, way easier. If you are a loser, meaning you consistently lose, you consistently fail, you consistently struggle, you're more likely to quit when things get tough over and over and over again. And inside, it all feels the same. This one is super important. It doesn't matter if you lost 1 pound or 100 pounds, regardless of how long of a journey you have to go. Once you get over that end goal, you will have a temporary high and you will come back to right where you are now. So if you're not happy right now, you're not going to be happy then. There's a lot more changes that have to go into it. The size of the victory is only the size of the short-term high, not the fundamental shift in who you are as a human being. And growth, making progress towards an end goal, towards an outcome, towards the specifics, towards the aspirations, that's what gives us fulfillment, the growth towards it, not the actual outcome of it. So once you accomplish one goal, you're going to have a desire to accomplish the next goal because it's the growth and the progress that matters. So inside it all feels the same, and the growth is what matters. It's about the total tally of victories, not the size of the victory. So those of you that are all or nothing, those of you that don't congratulate yourself and reward yourself until you've gotten all the way to the end goal, you're setting yourself up for defeat. You're already failing over and over again because it's impossible to be perfect, and that's decreasing your odds of success. It's decreasing your resilience, and your tally for victories is very small. But if you continuously set it up so you can tally more and more and more victories, you're going to gain a whole lot of momentum. So Increase the odds of your success by giving yourself as many easy victories as you possibly can and tallying them up over and over and over again. If you think you can go to the gym 3 days per week as you're getting started, you should go to the gym 1 day per week. And that is a victory. And if you go 3 times that week, then you won 3 times in a row as an extra bonus, but you're just going to do the smallest thing possible. Create a scoreboard. If you don't have a visual scoreboard of the thing that you're tracking, the likelihood that you're going to stop doing it or it's going to shift back to an abstraction instead of a specific is very high. So if we're thinking in bets, and we've got this group, I don't know how many people are in the call right now, it doesn't matter. Let's say there's 10 people in the group and one of you has a scoreboard and the other 9 are unbelievably motivated. You have the time, you have the money, you have the knowledge, you have everything you need. I'm going to bet all my money that the one with the scoreboard who has no other resources is going to win, and those that have all resources and no scoreboard will lose. That's what we're talking about when we say the odds of success, betting on yourself, increasing the odds, create that scoreboard. Momentum is better than motivation. It doesn't really matter how motivated you are. If you have forward momentum, you're going to keep going in that direction. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, forward is whichever direction you're moving. So if you're moving in the wrong direction, you have momentum in that direction. So motivation's not enough to change it. Again, this goes back to the tally. The tally of your victories, the tally of your defeats is what's going to impact your momentum. When you have forward momentum of victories, that drives you further forward. When you have forward momentum of defeats, that's what's ultimately steering us in the wrong direction. So when we talk about the behaviors that we're going to get into here in a minute, if you can't measure it, it's not real. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but every single person who is in the group right now that's like, I've been trying to eat better, I've been trying to exercise more, I've been trying to decrease my stress, and I've been trying to sleep more. And I say, well, what specifically have you been doing? What specific changes and how have they been going? And you're like, well, I don't know exactly. I just try to eat some vegetables and I try to get to the gym when I get. You're not measuring it. You can't measure I'm trying. You can't measure it. It's not real. So you're not actually trying. As much as that hurts our ego, you're not trying. You think you're trying, which I'm going to get to how dangerous it is when you are 100% certain you know something and that thing is just not true. That's what gets you into trouble. It's not real. It's not real. Behavioral principles. This is what I'm sure all of you are dying for, but you have to understand the philosophy in order for these to be effective. Sleep, water, vegetables, protein, steps taken, movement overall, and real foods. So pay very close attention to these behavior principles. Are you waking up at the exact same time every single day? It's a yes or a no. If the answer is a no, I don't care what else you're doing. That has to be the first thing that you fix. So Michael, how many calories? What should I have for protein shake? What should I have for breakfast? How many days a week should I go to the gym? What should I don't care. If you're not waking up at the exact same time every single day and it is within your control to do so, nothing else matters. Are you getting enough sleep? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then nothing else matters. This is the first thing you have to fix. Are you drinking enough water? If the answer is no, I don't care what else you're doing. You have to have yes, yes, and yes. So if you want to talk about a strategy for long-term successful weight loss or to make a change or anything, you have to have 3 yeses so far. If you have any no's, you're done. You already know what you need to work on. You can jump off of this call and go do it now. Are you eating 800 grams of vegetables per day? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I don't care what else you're doing for your diet. What's better, vegan or paleo or keto? None of them. Are you getting 800 grams of vegetables per day? Yes or no? I don't care what you're doing diet-wise beyond that. Are you eating enough protein? Yes or no? If the answer is no, this is where you're at. Are you getting a minimum of 7,000 steps per day? I know everybody knows Fitbit's 10,000, but 7,000 is actually the tipping point. 10,000 just sounds way better. It's way cooler, but 7,000 is the tipping point from the measurement. So are you getting 7,000 steps per day? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I don't care what your workout routine is. Get your 7,000 steps. Are you increasing your step number from what it has been previously? Now, this is specific to you have been doing what you are doing and you are stuck. You have yeses to this point. The next thing, instead of worrying about workout variables, would be to increase the number from where it's at. So I have a yes all the way down to here. My 7,000 is 10,000, but I'm stuck where I'm currently at. I would increase that number up. Are you exercising at all? And are you exercising at all means, did you do 10 push-ups against the wall today, or did you do 0? So 10 push-ups, I've entered the category of exercise. And then I would build up from there slowly. Are you eating real food first and most? So if you have a bagel for breakfast or waffles or cereal or a muffin or anything, none of that's real. Did you have eggs? Did you make an omelet? That is real. Are you eating real food first? First for the day, first for every meal. Are you eating real foods more than you're eating processed foods? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then this is where you're at. If you're on any kind of diet plan like Nutrisystem or Weight Watchers or, oh man, it was some weird name. I don't know, but where you order food and they ship it to you in a box, guess what? None of that's real. So if you lose weight on it, it's temporary and killing you. Are you eating a breakfast heavy on protein with healthy fats and no carbs? And if the answer is no, which you would think it would be solved by eating real foods first, but if the answer is no, I'm not doing that, then that would be what you need to change. So again, I don't care what diet plan you're doing, how many calories you're eating, what portion control you're doing, none of it's relevant. Are you eating a breakfast heavy on protein with healthy fats and no carbs? Okay. Until all those are yes, nothing else really matters. So if we're talking about specific behaviors that are measurable and repeatable, there you are. Those are the things that matter first. I went through that whole list, and you can watch the video back, and I can send them out, post them in the comments. But those all need to be yeses. And if all of those are yeses, you've accomplished most of whatever your goal happens to be. Somebody today told me I was like a serious guru, and I was like, I literally just went to like the oldest information that everybody in the world knows. That's the most basic fundamental things that are the easiest, and then I told you the list. Now I physically wrote it down from years ago, but I'm not a guru. I don't literally, it's the most basic stuff ever. It's like me saying 2 + 2 is 4 and somebody being like, you're Einstein, man. It's like, no, that's just basics and easy. So now for you guys, we're going to use some specific examples here, and everybody can thank Dana for being the first to volunteer a few days ago. So Dana can unmute herself. I'm going to stop the screen share, I think, so you can look at me. I might load it back up so I can do the notes. And we're going to use Dana as a specific. Dana, I'm going to recap the things that you sent to me, okay? So if you missed last week's call, no big deal. Go back and watch it. But we're talking about Dana here. She had her top 5 that you sent me in the text, and I thought those were those. Yeah, she did text me too. For those of you that were on the call last week, she texted it all to me, and we had a nice exchange. This looked like top 5 goals or top 5 priorities. So if I mess up something as I'm going, correct me. This was Dana's top 5: calmness, stronger core / balance / back, run a mile, eat healthier, weight goal, which was her weight loss goal. Then she made it specific for the behaviors. This was the second part of that conversation. And she said for calmness, she would meditate 5 minutes daily. For stronger core, balance, and back, she would do 5 minutes on a balance board. For running a mile, she had a route to the mailbox and back that she would do. For eating healthier, veggies 2 times daily. And then for hitting the weight goal, she would step on the scale every single day to get to her weight goal. Is all of that correct, Dana?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about breaking away from needing motivation to get to an outcome, which was, let's say, 170 pounds, or an aspiration, which was lose weight and feel better. Now we're going to break down the 5 things that she gave, compare it to what everybody knows as SMART goals, but really clarify how we're going to build the habits that are going to be successful. Okay. So first of all, Dana, was this what you were going to do every day?
Yes, but now I'm second guessing that.
Yeah, probably, right? Because that's an all or nothing thing.
Right.
That's not a tally your victories. It's I'm doing all of these things every day or I'm not, which is what you've been doing in the past, right? So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, we have a more clear picture of the outcome and enough clarity to move forward. We have talked about options for behaviors that she's going to change. Now, we are going to make sure the behaviors are appropriately matched to you as an individual. And appropriately matched behaviors are very impactful to the specific outcome that you want. They are something that you actually want to do. and you have the ability to do them. So that's behaviors that are appropriately matched. So for Dana, calmness is your number one. Can you elaborate on what that means for you and why you said meditate for 5 minutes a day?
Because I feel like right now, my whole work world went upside down. And Michael, I tend to be like you, like I'm very passionate about what I do. And it's easy for me to get engrossed, and then my day can just like blip by. Like I can just become lost in it. And I'm finding myself right now, I'm not calm. Like I can't even sit down to read a book because my brain, I'm ADD, but it's like I'm just on overload. And so like the first thing would be to go back. And I used to do that. And I was up to 5 minutes of meditating. And it does recenter you. And so that was why I was thinking if I could just start to like down the angst and like the stress that I'm having, then that set me up for success for everything else.
Okay, so why did you stop doing 5 minutes of meditation a day, and why haven't you restarted?
I did I didn't feel like I had time, and I kept saying like I'll do it in a couple minutes, I'll do it in a couple minutes until the day was done.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly when you think about it because it's 5 minutes.
I agree. What were you doing as your meditation practice?
So I actually, because I was trying to set it up to win for it. So I'm a colorist, so I love colors. So I got like a circle thing that I can sit on to meditate, and then I found a really great app that talks through the app. But he's very calm because I am like a Labrador puppy. Like if I don't have something where I'm there, like my brain quickly starts to want to think. So just the voice keeps me kind of centered when I do it. So I try to pick a specific space, have the right environment and the right tone to make me do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're doing nothing, you're stressed, you don't have calm, you want to be calm. So meditating for 5 minutes every single day. You have to have your colored mat that you sit on, your location that is calm, your place, your time blocked off for it, the app that is going to guide you through it, which if you have learned the app at this point, great. But if you haven't learned the app, you have to learn the new app. You have to do your setup. You have to do your breakdown. You have to block everything out. That's more and more steps, more barriers. Now, maybe like 5 minutes of meditating a day is probably having a wonderful impact. Absolutely. Like I'm not saying that it isn't. However, there are things that you could do to create the calmness that you're searching for that might be easier and smaller to do. And then you would just tally the number of times that you do it. So things that instead of getting an app, getting a mat, sitting in position and learning how to meditate in the way we think monks meditate, calmness and meditation is just creating space, or I mean really like creating calmness. And what are different things that you could do to create calmness? Like you could close your eyes and you could meditate for 10 seconds. You could have a mantra, you could have like I said, I know it's meditation, a prayer, a thing that you repeat, a gratitude prayer that you give, a deep breath, whatever it happens to be. So that can be built up and associated with things that you can do, that you want to do, that actually make an impact. So again, I don't know if this would impact for Dana, but the point is, instead of doing the whole setup for 5 minutes of meditation a day, which she hasn't been doing because she doesn't have time, you know what she does have time for? When the alarm goes off in the morning, as soon as the alarm goes off, you take a big deep breath and you say whatever your mantra is until you are saying it slowly and calmly, then you get up. And then maybe you need to do it again. When you turn on the shower, then you repeat the same process. When you start brushing your teeth, you repeat the same process. That is something that you can do, that you can measure, that you can tell whether or not it has an impact immediately, that you could put on a scoreboard that would make progress that is easy enough for you to implement immediately, that wouldn't have any interruption. Like that is a very small thing. 5 minutes of meditating a day is an all or nothing situation, which is what we've addressed with Dana. And it's one specific behavior that we think will help. But the reality is, if you're going to find the calmness in your chaos, it is going to take time and repetition and multiple behaviors and failures and trial and error. And all of them would still be momentum and okay if we did that. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So then stronger core, balance, and back, that is not specific We have not specified, created enough clarity. And then you said 5 minutes on the balance board. Why 5 minutes on the balance board? Is there something you want to do with the balance board, or is there a particular issue with your back and core and balance?
There is a specific issue with my back and my core.
What is it? If you can share.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm having a lot of back issues, and and from everything that I've been told from physical therapy and everything else is because my core isn't strong enough.
Both of those are also not specific. What are your back issues, and them telling your core is not strong enough? What does that mean to them?
But they're saying that I'm not being able to be pulled centered. So it starts in my shoulders because my shoulders aren't backing down like they should be, although I'm working on it. But then I also have in my center of my back, I keep getting muscle spasms, and then my lower back, I keep getting my sciatica nerve acts up, which I was told was fake sciatica, but regardless, it hurts like hell. So whatever it is, it's not fun.
Okay. And what specific issue with the core other than not strong enough, and what specific assignment did they give you?
They gave me different weight and like resistance training. So like weights, one of it was like laying on the side and then raising my arm up to like make it parallel with the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why would you do the 5 minutes on the balance board instead of those exercises that they gave you for the specific issue from the doctor?
I don't know.
Right?
Well,
but go ahead. Well, what?
no, I'm gonna like I thought like the balance board was gonna be more because they kept saying my core, and the balance board is your core because the stronger your core is, the better balance, right?
Here's the difference. That's an idea that sounds great, but you had a doctor give you a specific prescription.
Okay.
So you went to the doctors and you have strep throat, and they said, here, take this medicine for 7 days and it'll be fine. And then you went home and you were like, you know what though? If I have this soup, it makes my throat feel better. If I do this, it makes me feel this. If I do that, it does that. And like, that makes sense. It's like, but you went to the doctor and they gave you a very specific way to address it. Why would you go through the effort of all the other stuff that may or may not pan out?
I think it was fear of doing it wrong and then making it worse. But when they kept saying my core, I was like, well, that should be something like the balance board should be something where I shouldn't make anything worse.
So the truth was the fear.
Being honest.
Yeah, the fear of
Yeah.
making it worse, right? So then you came up with an alternative thing. So instead of saying I'm going to do 5 minutes on the balance board a day, I would just start tallying the total of the exercises that you're supposed to do from the doctor.
Okay.
And like, seriously, if they said do X amount 3 days per week, well, you would know if you did X amount 3 days per week pretty quickly if that is having a specific impact or not. And until you've done it, you don't know. That would be the first thing. So we'll go more the running thing. I would say, like, if you block it off, you get in the habit. I think you should go back to tracking steps and averages and just doing more distance than you did before. Instead of every day you're going to run out there, just take it as it comes. Vegetables 2 times daily. That is great, right? That's specific. And you could say you could do smaller. You could start 2 times daily. You can be specific with the volume of veggies. You can tally it as a scoreboard. You can do literally anything that you want with there, and you would know its impact pretty quickly. And you would decide what that impact would be. And then weighing yourself every single day is pretty clear. That one's not really a pass-fail. That's a behavior that becomes a habit. So every day while you're brushing your teeth, you step on the scale, you build, build that together, and that would be totally fine. And then if we did physical therapy exercises, increased our steps, increased the vegetables, and stepped on the scale every day, it would take 10 days to know whether or not we were moving in the right direction.
Okay.
And each one of those things doesn't really require motivation. So like, it's Thursday night, it's pizza night. Did you eat vegetables at the meal? Yes, no. And if you did, then you did it.
Okay.
Simple. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So Dana and I, and those of that have been here, I've been involved in that conversation for a while, so it was very specific. But now I think there's a lot of clarity here with Dana on exactly what to do, and we would have the immediate feedback. They're all things that she decided she wanted to do. They're all things that she can do. They would all be things easily trending in the right direction. Dana, do you understand and feel how much better and easier that is going to be than if you tracked and weighed and measured all your food in the MyFitnessPal app and you went to the gym 3 days per week, make a break, and you like,
Yeah.
if you think of where you are now and where you need to be in terms of being healthy, it's like, I got to get to the gym. I got to work hard. I got to eat like this. I got to stop doing that. Like, it's a whole bunch of changes, but now it's very small, very easy, and you would get really good feedback from it, and it's all sustainable, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Any questions
Yeah.
from you, Dana?
Not that I'm sure there will be, but I'm still processing it, so not yet.
Okay, think about it. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Mama, you lost 4 pounds this week. That's pretty awesome.
I did, yeah. Mhm.
Well, that's a big
Eating
deal.
better, eating vegetables, eating no bread, eating no sweets, no candy, you know. Just
And you dropped those 4. Hey, Ray, you finally hit the 25-pound mark. Great job. I love it. Dana, quieted the mean voices. That's a really big deal. Weighed yourself every day. That's awesome. You walked 4 times. You were getting the servings of vegetables. That's great. And making a conscious effort to eat vegetables at each meal. How many meals were you eating vegetables before, and how many are you eating now?
Well, I'm eating 3 meals a day always.
Mm-hmm.
But for breakfast, I almost never ate any vegetables. For lunch, sometimes, and dinner was really the only time I ever ate any kind of vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to add something green to every meal. Now, I haven't been counting like how many grams, but I've just, but so I thought that was going to be too much. So I just decided that I would just try to add something green to each meal.
Which I think for most of us is probably true. Weighing it every single time is too much. You can just do the fist. 1 fist of vegetables at each meal.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what you use. You could do a half fist or a fist and a half or 2. Like, who cares? That's just a quick measurement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that
And
would
I'm
be
not
very,
trying to lose like a significant amount of weight. I'm trying to change my weight from fat to muscle.
yeah,
So
but the process to go
it's
through
the
is going to be
same.
basically the same.
Right.
So that they're all moving in the right directions. And then looks like Tracy jumped off. She was clearly driving and then parked, it looks like. So, but she dropped 7 pounds. That's great. So A-Ray volunteered to be the next example here. So Amanda, I'm going to try to make it super easy on you. Specific goal, if you have one or multiples. So Dana gave a top 5 priorities-ish. That's fine too, whichever gives you more clarity, right? So this is your clarity and your desire, your motive, and then your specificity and outcome. So one goal, one outcome, 5 priorities, doesn't matter. And then what specific changes that you've been doing that free you, or that you want to help free you from the need for motivation, or if you don't feel like they're sustainable long term, or if you don't feel like they're enough, whatever.
So like my overarching goal is I definitely like want to lose another 110 pounds, 115 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Awesome.
the goal to get.
Okay. And what are the things that we're doing to get there?
I have been eating vegetables at every meal and making sure that they're first or something real at every meal. I've increased my water intake, decreased my carb intake. I've been trying to go to bed earlier. So sleep is a big thing for me. That's one of the things that's holding me back is sleep.
Yeah. Well, that holds a lot of us back, I think. You've been trying to increase water and trying to increase vegetables.
Yes.
What specifically have you been doing to try to increase those things?
I constantly have a water bottle in front of me. So with a straw, because I always drink more when I have a straw. So just, I refill that every, I don't even know. I try to refill it every hour, or every break that I have from teaching virtually. I'll go downstairs, fill it up just so it's constantly being filled.
Mhm.
And then for vegetables, I'm just, like Anne said, I'm more aware of what I'm choosing to put on my plate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Instead of just having vegetables at dinner, I'm also having them at lunch, but also having something real in the mornings.
And what is the specific impact that change, that behavior is having?
It's just making me more, I guess, aware of my choices, because I wasn't aware before of like,
How impactful to you in terms of getting to your specific goal is that awareness?
very impactful, because I'm seeing the weight drop on the scale every day.
Does everybody follow the progression? Now, what if Amanda said she wasn't making progress? So she's increasing her vegetables. The specific measurable wasn't a thing, it was the increase in awareness. She was more aware of what she's doing, so she's consciously making an effort for the change, and she feels like the awareness is having a specific impact to get her down that 100 plus pounds. And she's making progress. What if she's not making progress?
Would she go back to the list that you have?
The behavior of increasing awareness at my vegetables at each meal is not helpful. It's not having a specific and measurable impact, which is what we need for the behaviors, which is where those of us that are stuck are doing. But Amanda's not stuck, so that is a very clear option that she chose, that she wanted, that is having a specific measurable impact that she can feel immediately towards an end goal. So I'm going to take A Ray's example and relate it to 5 minutes of meditating every day. Like Dana's not the only person that has said that. And then the specific measurable improvement in calmness. Or for those of you that are trying to get better in the gym, or faster in the gym, or stronger in the gym, or trying to make a very clear and specific change. So a bunch of us on this call also trying to do all these different things and not losing the weight, not getting the fat off. How many times have you had a conversation with me about all the things that you're trying to do, yet you still have not made measurable progress towards that end goal? Reflect on it for a second. And for a lot of you, and for some of you, it has been for years we've been having the same conversation, that you've been trying all these things, but you're not making progress. So Amanda is. So that one thing that she's doing is having a very, very, very clear, big impact. That is a appropriately matched behavior for Amanda. So I would double, triple down on that one as the big focus until that one has been automatic, until she's not aware that she's doing it anymore. Until she's done it so much and she's like, well, I'm not consciously making an effort, it's just a part of what I do, then we would find a second one to do that. So now I know she gave a couple of examples. She was doing the water also, and it was working. She was doing the vegetables also. Now, let's take the water and the vegetable successful thing and now talk about the going to bed, the sleep thing. What's your specific and your measurable and the impact of it on the short term? Do you have one?
No. So that's where I need to start.
What could you do based off of the conversation we've had so far?
Start with a goal for how many hours of sleep I want to get at night. And then I wake up at the same time every day. So I do that.
Which is big. Why don't you go to bed at the same time every day?
I don't know, because my mind never shuts off. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, well, I get that one. Are you not getting enough sleep, or are you getting enough sleep?
I think I'm getting enough sleep. Like I function fine.
Then who cares? Like you're waking up at the same day, same time every day, and you feel like you're getting enough sleep. Don't worry about your sleep then.
Okay.
It's good. So you'll go back to the other ones to find a match because we know that sleep's not a problem.
Okay.
And Amanda's example is case study here super easy because she's got so much momentum and she's doing a great job and the behaviors are now specific. But Amanda's first conversation with me, we didn't have a very specific weight loss number. And Amanda, I don't know if you remember this, but you're the one who said you have about 100 more pounds to go. So I'm going to think that gives me permission to say Amanda thought she thought when we first had that first conversation that she needed to lose about 100 pounds. Now she has a very specific number and she's lost a bunch of weight since that conversation. So she has a very clear end goal vision of where she wants to go versus the beginning she didn't. She had aspirations, but now she has clarity and specifics. And we said, what are you doing? And she was trying to eat healthier, but now she's making a conscious effort in this conversation to do X, Y, and Z. And the impact of it is also measurable, as in 25 pounds down, as in getting this much vegetables, as in this is when I'm drinking, this is how I'm doing it. I drink more when I have a straw. That's the difference in the conversation from what most of us are used to having. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
So now who has something they want me to address because nobody else has gone in depth. There have only been a couple people that always volunteer to talk most of the time. Who wants me to really break down their specific action plan and where they're hanging up and break it down for them? Who wants to be the next example? And by nobody, that means you're all like, you have a very specific goal that you're making so much progress towards. It's unbelievable. It's so easy. If you have been stuck in the same place you are right now for more than 10 days and you don't know why, you should have a question or something to share. Let's see. The 6 of you that are muted, who has a goal? No, none of you have a goal.
I'll talk.
Is
It's
that
Elsa.
Elsa,
Yeah.
what's your goal?
So my goal really now is just to get stronger, which I know you were aware of. I hurt my back. Well, it's an existing back condition, whatever. Anyway, but through physical therapy and all of that, I almost quit. Thank God I didn't. But that's for me, that's my goal, is to get stronger. And I now, versus before, I now actually document what I lifted or what I did, your max rep, your 3 max. I don't think I ever did that. I would just go in and say, and kind of wing it. But I think
Right.
now I pay more attention to that. And when they say, okay, I actually calculate the 85, 75, whatever percentages that
Yeah.
go through that. So
How long have
it's
you been doing
working.
that?
I guess since I got hurt. So since I came back, I would say in July.
How much
August.
progress have you made on getting stronger?
Oh, it's been really, really good. I will just say, and not to boast or brag because I don't like doing that, but I think my 1 rep max, and again, I hate to brag, but for me, it's a goal or an accomplishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I deadlifted 210, and for somebody with a back injury, that's, to me, is really good. But anyway, but it's in everything. It's not just, deadlifting. It's in also the other ones that we do. But so yeah, I can say that doing that for me has changed and actually helped me to get stronger.
So tell me what you learned from that experience.
From documenting is that what you mean?
So prior to, you weren't documenting it. Now you are, and you're getting stronger. Tell me like the full experience of what your takeaway is.
Well, it's reaching that goal. It's measuring. I mean, you can't meet an objective or meet a goal if you don't measure, if you have nothing to measure. And in the past, I didn't really have anything to measure. I had nothing to go by. So, I kind of so now doing that, it's like, okay, I did this much, so how do I increase it? And then it's just, that's how I see it, is just actually setting that goal, or documenting that measure. Does that make sense? Anyway.
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. So you were not measuring it before, but you wanted to get stronger. Now you've put the actual things into practice. You're measuring it. You're using the percentages. You're following the way that it's supposed to go. And now you are getting measurably stronger.
Yes.
So how would that impact you if you were to set a different goal? Like you wanted to run a certain distance, or you wanted to lose a certain amount of weight. What would you do differently?
I don't know that I would. I mean, I think it would be almost the same thing. I mean, if I'm trying to run a mile, or, without stopping, I would say, okay, this week I'm going to do whatever, 400, next week 800 meters. But again, it's measurable. To me, it would still be a measurable thing, to where I would continue to set that one goal. Okay, I did. And I've done that with running as well. I mean, being able to run 800 meters without stopping is a goal for me. And I did achieve it running, but again, it's that, I guess it's documenting it and saying, okay, yeah, I did this day. And then, next time I'll run a little bit more, next time, and not stopping versus, just keep running, keep moving, as you call it.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Is that,
yes, of course. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say too, because that's exactly where we're going and exactly what we want. So she's got tons of momentum. No matter what she does next, she's going to measure the behavior. That is a huge step forward in progress for what we want. So we've got right now, Cece and Tina sharing. Whichever one of you two wants to jump on this conversation, because we only have time for one. So the first person to speak up, but here's the rule. You have to share in as much detail as you can the exact outcome that you want. So getting stronger is not enough. Losing 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds is not enough. I need to know everything for the outcome. I want to lose this much weight. I want to look like this. I want to feel like this. I want to do this. I want to have this, everything. So which one of you two wants to share so we can break it down?
Go ahead, Cecilia. I'm still in failure zone. I have certain things to work on first. Go ahead.
All right, Cece, she passed it to you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, good. Specifics. Okay. I specifically want to lose at least another, I'm at 183, I think it's, no, 187. So I'd like to lose at least another 15 pounds by my birthday in November. And there's things that I want done, to my body. I'm 35. I'll be 34. I have one child. So there's things that I want to do to my body in this progress that isn't just losing weight. It's toning things, tightening things, working on my back and my bottom and things like that. So I've done a lot of, as a cook, I've done a lot of changing foods. I've done a lot of that, but I don't see the progress that I want to see. So I'm kind of stuck.
So be 172 by your birthday in November. That is very specific, very clear. But toning target areas is not specific, not clear. Obviously, if you're not measuring a body fat percentage, you wouldn't have an answer, but a body fat percentage would be. A very clear aesthetic example of another person would be. A very clear or specific outfit or outfits for very clear specific occasions and behaviors that would go with it. That would provide a whole lot of clarity that would move you in a positive direction.
Okay.
More than toning.
So I'm in a 13 pants right now. I'd at least by my birthday, which is in November, which is that specific date. That's why it's specific, to be in 11 pants and a large top instead of an extra large top.
So that is more clarity and more specific.
Hmm.
What else? I'll just pressure you one more time if you have anything more specific for the sake of time for the conversation. Anything else?
Um, sleep is a number one. Like I'm a cook, so I cook a lot. I'm up during the day. On my days off, I sleep most days. It's just kind of one of those things. So I know I'm not getting enough sleep, but that's just something that I know that I have to work in within my own life.
Okay, so when we say things like increase sleep is one of our goals, the reason goals like that are terrible are, what if you increased your sleep a lot and nothing changed?
Okay,
Then increasing the sleep wouldn't make you happy at that point. I want to increase my sleep because I think increasing my sleep will help me accomplish what?
that was one of the steps, and honestly, I'm a little lost on that because I'm not following it perfectly, and my coach, like I said in the chat, has advised it's the perfect following of the program. There's been slip ups, and we've been pushing this whole week to do no slip ups, which I've seen the best results in this week. So I know that that's what's working.
But that's going to ultimately become a lot of pressure that might not be great. So I'm going to go back here real quick. Are you waking up at the exact same time every day?
For the most part, yeah. There's maybe 1 or 2 days that's just a work schedule.
Are you getting enough sleep? We just talked about that one. Are you able to increase your sleep? Is that within your control? Or increase the quality of your sleep?
Yes. Yeah.
So instead of worrying about how perfect you are with your diet, what would be the better strategy?
Going to sleep earlier.
Fixing the problem related to the sleep. Maybe it's going to sleep earlier, but increasing the quality. Okay, let's say you did that. Are you drinking enough water?
I push to at least a gallon a day.
Are you eating 800 grams of vegetables per day? Notice this question is not, are you eating perfectly on the food list? It's, are you eating 800 grams of vegetables per day?
I don't know measurably. I am eating them with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have started doing every meal. I've at least inserted some type of vegetable.
So the next step is then the volume of vegetables.
Correct. Yes.
And then increasing the volume of vegetables, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you eating enough protein? Do you know how much protein you're eating each day?
Again, I eat that with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm a meat eater, so it's, yeah, that's my hardest thing to give up because I'm almost supplementing protein for carbs right now.
I want you and your coach to decide whether or not you're hitting 800 grams and getting enough protein just based off of the pictures. Are you getting a minimum of 7,000 steps?
Yes, I work in a kitchen.
Are you increasing your step number or exercising at all?
I do follow the exercise plan. Yes.
Are you increasing the effort, the volume, the difficulty?
I attempt to on given days. There's some days that I'm just a little worn out or I'm sore and I'm not pushing as hard as I should be, which I've shared with my coach.
For sake of time, we'll circle back and learn how to clarify that a little better later. Are you eating real foods first most? And you said this week you were perfect on the eating, right?
This week, yes. Before, not as much. I was eating the proteins first before the vegetables.
Okay. Are you eating breakfast heavy on protein with healthy fats, no carbs?
Yes, but other than coffee.
Coffee is not a carb.
Yeah, but I put cream in my coffee. I haven't been able to give that up.
Cream also, depending on which kind of cream, may or may not be a legitimate carb. Depends on how much sugar you actually put in it. So we can improve the sleep without a shadow of a doubt. We can increase the volumes here and see what kind of impact that would make immediately.
Mhm.
What specific behaviors are we doing that are giving us the measurable? And you said this week you're seeing progress. How much
Yes, I've
progress
been
are you
seeing
seeing this
more.
week?
I've seen the scale drop at least, like, because I keep getting stuck at 188, 187. I've seen that go below 186. Because I'm pushing so hard for the next 2 months, I have seen at least this week where I'm not every day weighing in at the same thing. That was my frustration. I was weighing in at 188 almost every day for a week and a half. That was my frustration.
And then you were weighing in at 188 for a week and a half, and then what happened?
At least I'm dropping down to 187 and 186 for this past week, trying to eat perfectly as advised.
How much can your body weight fluctuate up or down on any given day from water weight alone?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask me that. 10%.
I wanted a specific number, 10%. Based off of how much you weigh, you could see that flux be within a 12-pound range. And depending on your water retention with the changes of your body, the scale is a lagging indicator. So let's remember that. If you are improving your sleep, improving your water, improving your eating on an average overall, that stall, and if you are seeing progress, and if you're measuring it in the appropriate ways, inches, clothing size, body fat, pictures, and scale, instead of only exclusively using the scale as feedback, you would probably see that things are going well and in the right direction. And if those behaviors are sustainable long term, they increase your odds of success over the long term. While time-specific goals are great, time-bound goals are great when you make a SMART goal. One of the key things here with SMART and A being achievable, achievable to me doesn't mean realistic. It means, are you in control of it? And we're not always in control of losing 15 more pounds by your birthday, but what you are in control of is all the behaviors that would go into it. And if you keyed in on the behaviors and ignored the goal, but the behaviors were fixed and sustainable long term, and you lost 9 pounds instead of 15 pounds because you fixed all the behaviors, then you would get down your 15 pounds, maybe not by your birthday, but certainly on a very effective and appropriate timeline, and then you would stay there for the long term. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Okay,
So
that helps me with the pressure that I'm dealing with right now.
Oh yeah, that is a big thing. So Caitlin's not on the call right now, but I'll give Caitlin as the example. She got to work directly with me for the first, 6 weeks that she was doing something. In the first week, we put her on the food list, had her follow the process, and she dropped some absurd, like she went from like 148 to 139, something absurd because she was already at that point. And then she did the refeeding day and the weight came up, and then she went like 7 or 8 or 10 straight days at 143. And she was super upset. She was like, I don't understand what's happening. I can't make any progress. I feel like fat because I'm at 143. It's not going down. I was like, okay, well, Caitlin, first let's take a big deep breath. In 2 weeks, you're down 6 pounds just on the scale alone. And second of all, these are some of the factors that may be giving you false feedback when you step on the scale. Just stick to it. So she was consistent for a few more days, and all of a sudden, that number plummeted. Boom. Like a huge drop, and then it bounced up again and was stable and then dropped. And then she had a couple of days where it was fluctuating up and down, a full week where it was higher than you would expect it. Now, especially as a female, there are other variables involved. But overall, if we were to put the trend line, because you have to extend that trend line in the averages, she was losing on average 3.5 pounds per week during that first like 4 or 5 weeks when you laid it out. But she spent more than half of that time frustrated that she wasn't making progress. So she'd step on the scale every day, and
exactly where I'm at, right?
She was so frustrated. Right, and that sounds terrible to me too. Like to every day for like 2 straight weeks, I'm disappointed in myself. I'm having negative self-talk. I feel awful. Yet if I were to create the scoreboard and lay it out, it would say, you are losing 3.5 pounds every single week. And I'm sitting here looking at the scale going, I'm a failure. This sucks and I hate it. Yet the scoreboard is screaming at you, this is working unbelievably well, better than anything you've ever done. pick your fucking head up and look. Just look at what's happening. But you get so upset when we look down. Now, I don't know exactly where you are going with what you have been doing, but I guarantee you, if you go back and you lay those numbers out in the get the trend lines going and do those numbers on average, you'd be like, oh, well, things are probably going better than I realized right now, especially if the variables are within control. Second, if the variables or if things are not going as well and the variables are not within control or where you want them to be, that is within your control. So you can fix your sleep, you can fix your water, you can fix your vegetables, you can fix your protein, and then you'd be right back on track versus a mystery. You know what you've been doing because you've been taking pictures, you've been doing the actions. You know the outcome, the lagging indicator, the scale, because you've been doing it. So you have the evidence and everything's within your control to adjust it, and it's not a mystery. But because of the flux on the scale and its potential, it can give us very, very, very false feedback. And I need to go back and find the video. It's on YouTube somewhere, but I weighed myself every day for like 5 straight months. And then if you pick 2 dates at random, it was like from this date to this date, I gained 12 pounds. From this date to this date, I dropped an absurd amount of pounds. From this date to this date, I didn't change any weight. And they were like 2.5 months apart. Just because the scale goes up and down, it's not a linear thing. The water weight makes it go like fluctuate up and down. Over that whole time period, I lost a whole bunch of body fat. But if you just weighed in at random or you took very small sections out of it, it gave you very, 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 very negative results. But if you put the whole picture up, it was nothing but positive results the second you lay out that trend line with the data, with what's actually happening, which would probably help you a whole bunch. And it sounds like if you're doing all of these things, you've made the progress that you've made so far, you did a couple of tweaks and you feel like changes are happening already. If we look at all the pictures, if you have them, and we can look at it with your coach, I bet you the answer is right there. And you don't need to be nearly as frustrated as you are or could potentially become if you don't see the scale giving you feedback. Does all that make sense so far?
Yes, it does. My coach has told me that I'm trending down, but it's just been a little frustrating to see the same number over and over again. I just got to trust him a little bit more.
Or create the scoreboard that shows you the trend.
What does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I've made spreadsheets. I'll just give him like a copy of a spreadsheet that I have, and he'll put the numbers on there. But for all of you that are listening, you don't weigh the number that you see on the scale today. You weigh the average of the last 2 weeks. So if, and then we do months and whatever, but if over the last 2 weeks you went 180, 181, 178, 181, 177, 180, 181, 179, up and down like that, right? And you step on the scale today and it's 182, you don't weigh 182, you weigh 180.5 because that 182 pulled the average up a little bit. And at the same time, if you wake up the next day and it's 176, that's awesome, but you don't weigh 176, you actually weigh 179.4. You weigh the average. It's going to show you a lot more day to day. It's going to keep you a little contained. Might seem like it's minimizing your emotional highs when the scale drops a bunch, but it's also protecting you from the emotional lows if the scale goes up, which again, using Caitlin as the example, we showed her. So when she had a very high weigh-in day and a very low weigh-in day for the first few weeks, and we showed the average, she stopped worrying about that. Because
Okay,
she's
so,
like, oh,
so
I see.
upping the vegetables and upping the healthy protein is going to see the scale start to move down. So I need to make sure I'm hitting that number.
If you're not hitting that number, the first thing to do would be to hit that number to get it moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that make sense?
It does, absolutely.
Okay, so I was trying to look up if I had an example of a trend calculator real quick, but I'll find it and send it to you so you can look at that. Does everybody understand what I mean when I say you're not what the scale says today, you are the average?
Yes.
So for those of you that are stuck, and I've been stuck for a week or I've been stuck for 10 days, if you lay out your average weight over the last 2 weeks or month, I bet you're not stuck. I bet you're still trending down on average, which would be super important. And a 4-day window where the trend tips up is not a catastrophe. It's okay. It's a part of the process. It's going to go up and down. No big deal. All right, I've got like 10 seconds before I need to jump off. I'm going to read what Tina had posted here. Sleep through the night. If there's a way to get sleep through the night, that's great. Naps crashing early. Yes, lack of sleep does trick you into eating poorly. Not enough water. If that's within your control, just simply increase the water. It may have a collateral effect on everything else. Dana, the list I gave earlier, how does that fit in? So how do our goals fit into that? Those were weight loss specific behaviors and fat loss specific behaviors. So your overall goal of being 170 pounds and getting fat down, well, those would be the first and easiest habits and behaviors to address, and the biggest. So correcting your sleep is going to have the biggest impact because, like Tina had said, it messes with your energy, it messes with your hunger, it messes with your blood sugar, it messes with your emotional state, and it corrects too many things. It's the biggest bang for your buck, the most leverage by fixing your sleep instead of being a badass at the gym, sacrificing and showing up at 5 a.m. every day. Coincidentally, both you show up at 5 every day. You don't, like, the sleep is a bigger thing. That's how it would fit into it. And then the regularity, and then the water, and so on. You're not getting 800 grams of vegetables per day, Tina. You do exercise daily, but we need to start measuring and get specifics on that. Add ice cubes instead of ice cream, 3 pounds. Add ice cubes instead of cream. Oh, there you go. That makes
In
more
the
sense.
coffee.
Yeah, there
In
you
the,
go. Add ice
in
cubes
the
instead of
coffee in
cream.
the
Now
morning
that makes
instead
sense.
of, yeah.
Okay.
And then my fluctuation is 3 pounds.
Got it. All right, perfect. Are you eating breakfast heavy in protein and high in healthy fats?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. It sounds like correcting your sleep is going to be a very big deal. And then you also said earlier, lack of sleep tricks you into eating poorly. What are you eating poorly when you eat poorly?
Oh, I'll do a carb. I
Specifically.
shouldn't have carbs at all. Fresh bread. I'm going to get people hungry here. You know, just I'll do fresh breads, or I like canned beans, the kind at Aldi that are like chili beans. I'll go eat beans. That's not really that good for me because it's high in carbs. I should not have carbs.
So because I only have 1 more minute, Tina is not saying that she needs to cut out the bread. Tina is saying her sleep is causing that problem, and Tina is correct, where instead of people being like, if I could just cut out the carbs, but I keep eating carbs late at night, it's like, okay, well, maybe not eating the carbs late at night isn't the issue. Maybe it's the things that are causing it, which would be the sleep. So Tina's correct with that appropriate behavior with a specific action plan. So that's it. That's all I have time for. I have to jump off. Send comments, post comments, send questions so we can do some more and more build outs. Now a bunch of you have specific measurements you have to give me on the next call, which is going to be great. I'll send you guys text to check in. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for chatting with me. I hope you all have a good evening, and then we'll see you all at 5 a.m. So get your 6 hours of sleep, and then I'll see you there. Good night, guys.
Thank you, Michael.